boys who send you hopping out to do your Christmas shopping. Hope you all enjoy a whopping Merry Christmas Day. A Merry Christmas Day.
Hi there. Remember me? Hope you have a Merry Christmas and thanks for listening.
Shopgear.com.
GearNetwork.com.
This is a Gear Network production.
You're listening to Better Live Than Dead.
I believe it's a big challenge for our building to keep things in perspective and to, if we're going to get addicted to anything, let's get addicted to the process.
With that, we welcome you to Trust the Podcast, powered by Better Live Than Dead and the Gear Radio Network. Episode number 38, Week 16, the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots. I am Ryan Wolf at BLTD on Twitter. Joining me on the IndyCar Media Hotline, John Cimino at the JC Money. John, how you doing on this wonderful, wonderful Christmas?
Merry Christmas to all. Happy holidays for those of you that don't celebrate Christmas. Ryan, my boy, I am well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Merry Crimbus for the people out there in radio podcast land. To everyone else, happy holidays. As John said, we are here to talk about the Buffalo Bills. We're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills lost to the New England Patriots. We're going to talk about some fantasy football. We're going to talk about Tom Brady. We're going to talk about Week 17. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to dive in headfirst.
After this podcast, seriously, like after y'all listen to this podcast, go to the JC Money show feed and, treat yourself to my wonderful rendition of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Very popular.
I'm a big fan of it. I like what you're doing. You do a lot of fun stuff. It's always a good time.
I try my best.
You can hear this podcast on BetterLiveThanDead.com, the newly updated BetterLiveThanDead.com that is putting emphasis on the podcast heading into 2019. You can hear us on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, wherever you can get a podcast, YouTube as well. Wherever you can get a podcast, you can get this podcast. You can listen, subscribe, like, share it, whatever you want to do. Feel free. We appreciate you. Now, that being said, John, diving in head first, before we get to the football game, let's get to the fake football games first. The fantasy football games, okay? I promised y'all an update from the official fantasy football league of the podcast, the Wolfensteiner Football League, which I am on pace. I say on pace because I'm going to win. It's 181 to 160. And I know none of you care about fantasy football to hear about my team or about John's team. So with that being said, you guys can fast forward a couple minutes and you'll be fine, whatever. But if you want to listen,
wait, before you fast forward, there's one very important message I need you all to hear before you go ahead and hit fast forward. And that message is, shut up, Ryan.
Ooh, we got one early. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, right now, unless Philip Lindsay has approximately all of the most fumbles in a game, if he has the most fumbles in a game, I would still win in NFL history because it's 5. By then, I think he would be staple to the bench. So I'm winning.
Did he fumble?
No. I'm just saying in general, if he were to fumble 5 times, which is the NFL record, I would only lose 10 points and I would still win the fantasy football championship. Now, mind you, I've been on a hot streak. I have a super team. I made some trades. John, thank you again for the blessings of the good fantasy football players. We made some good deals, made some magic happen.
Hey, you know what? It's kind of like for you wrestling fans out there, it's kind of like the Miz and Shane McMahon. Like, I'm the Miz, I did like all the work, and then you're Shane McMahon, but you won and you became the best in the world, right? And now we're the best in the world, right? So like we're the Wolfensteiner Football League champions, right? That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I don't know if it works like that. I'm going to go take the trophy in a few minutes and hang out with it and just be very happy. The 4th title I've won in league history is coming up.
That's okay. When we get together, and the Wolves and the Seminos get together, you bring the trophy and I'll just, spend a little time with it because it's part mine too.
I'll loan it out to you for the afternoon. How does that sound?
Thank you.
Now, John, you mentioned before we jumped on the air, how's your fantasy championship going?
My fantasy championship in the WNYFL, the Western New York Football League, which is in its 10th season right now, and I have won exactly 0 times in this goddamn league. I've come close. I've been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. I lost in year 3 to WWE superstar Luke Harper, but I got my revenge like a week ago when we played in the conference finals. So Now I'm in the finals, and I'm the number 1 seed in that league. And I played, I had a 9-4 record, and I'm playing the guy that literally eked his way into the playoffs at 6-7 and just started getting hot. And now we couldn't be any closer right now. And the last time I checked, I was up by, I'm looking now, I'm up 171.3 to 170.2. He's projected to finish at 173.6, and I'm projected to finish at 177. Philip Lindsay is doing not Philip Lindsay things right now, and he's got some guy named Tim Phillips or something or whatever. It's something. I've never even heard of the guy. He's like the 4th string receiver in Denver right now, and I cannot believe it's come down to this.
Yeah, can I real quick? Let me just tell you, because you did mention people getting hot. Now, mind you, my league. Our league. The guy I'm playing, Shenny, in the finals, everyone knows Shenny. He was 4-9. He's 4-9 right now. Like he got hot. He got in the playoffs. Could we play an 8-team league? 6 teams get in, whatever. Maybe it's flawed, whatever. I don't care. We've been doing it for a decade now. It's been a blast. But he was 4-9, and then he happens to have 2 big weeks. He has Derrick Henry on his team, and he has Amari Cooper on his team. Oh. And he was able to beat 2 of the 3 biggest teams. He beat the 2nd seed, the 3rd seed, and then the 2nd seed in back-to-back weeks. So he earned his way to the finals. Granted, if I had played anybody else this week, my team scored a ton of points. So if I played anybody else this week, I would have won hand over fist. No questions asked. Every other team, I outscored every other team this week. So I would have won either way. But with that being said, fantasy football is a blast. It's a lot of fun to have. I thought about quitting after last year when I lost in the finals just because I was bored of it. I come back this year and win. I've gone to the final. It's my wife. My wife is the executive vice president of fantasy football operations on my team. Ever since she came into my life, my fantasy football team has been great. I've won 2 out of 3 titles.
Oh, well, now, you know what? In the league in my league, ever since my ex-wife left my life. Hey, I'm in the finals again. Imagine that.
You should have said, it would have been better, John, if you just said since my wife left me, because you know all the Twitter jokes. My wife left me.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of depressing, and I'm more celebratory of that.
That's why I said I'm sorry.
It's happening. See, when it happens to other people, they're like, when it happens to me, I'm like, great. So
it was the best thing to ever happen to me. Anyways, speaking of the worst thing to ever happen to me, the Buffalo Bills were back in our lives this week.
Boy,
Buffalo Bills stood no chance against the New England Patriots. They fell to New England.
But at least you guys knew you didn't have a chance, right? Like it couldn't be like my New York Jets, whom, had to lead the entire game and then let Aaron Rodgers tie the game or take the lead, and then the Jets tied the game, and then their penalties show up and their undisciplined nature shows up, and Green Bay walks into the end zone in overtime to win the game. I mean, at least you guys knew that, the Patriots were coming. And
My thought is this, John. At least the Buffalo Bills scored a touchdown. Buffalo's 5-10 heading into the final week of the season. Our 3 big things. First off, Josh Allen, the Josh Allen watch. He was very mediocre looking this week. 20 for 41, 217 yards. That garbage time touchdown and 2 picks. Only 5 rushes for 30 yards, John. I know it's an up and down swing. It's a growing pain type of thing where he's going to look good, he's going to look bad. And maybe these games where he plays it now, maybe you'll look back and he'll say, you know what, that game I played against New England, I learned a lot. But I can't imagine that's going to happen. But maybe next year he'll use these games to grow, when we won't see 217 yards and 50% completion percentage. Because honestly, there were some catches. There was that one with Logan Thomas in the end zone, hit him in the hands, little high, but it hit him in the hands. And it's one of those things where he should have had that. Any wide receiver, NFL wide receiver, or tight end should have had that catch, and he didn't have it.
Well, yeah. Again, I circle back to the rookie thing. He's a rookie. He's shown the fact that Buffalo's 5-10 heading into the final week. That's a plus. Again, considering that they were projected to have anywhere from 0 to 2 wins because this team was going to be just garbage. And clearly they're not total and complete garbage. They're the dumpster. They're not a dumpster fire. Josh Allen, 20 of 41, 217 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, he's playing Bill Belichick, a Bill Belichick defense, a Bill Belichick, who's a defensive mastermind. Josh McDaniels is the offensive genius, if you will, behind the Patriots right now. But Belichick and his defense and his defensive schemes, the guy knows how to set up defenses to play whomever and take away the biggest asset of a team to limit them. Josh Allen may not have been the biggest asset of the team, but at the very least, they knew he was young. They knew he's young. They knew he's green. They knew he's inexperienced, and they were going to take advantage of that, and they did. So that's why he's looking mediocre. Now, how he bounces back from this, is he going to be watching the film over and over and over and over? Is he going to look at these? Is he going to be able to understand what was in front of him? Is he going to be able to understand when coaches break down the tape of, his flaws in this game? And how will he respond in 2019, the first meeting against presumably Tom Brady with the New England Patriots, which may be a radically different looking Patriots team next year. But regardless, this is a learning curve for him. This was a major learning step. You're taking a brand new boxer, a young up and coming boxer, and you're putting him up against Mike Tyson. It doesn't matter how old Mike Tyson is, and Tyson still, if he connects, a right hook to you, he's going to knock you out. The same thing. Thing.
I definitely agree. I mean, again, we've talked about it every week, but Josh Allen, when he's been under center, it certainly seems like he grows and then he takes a step back and grows and takes a step back. This offseason is going to be huge. We reiterated every single week. You got to put good weapons around him, and that brings us really to our second stat of the game, or our second big thing, the stats of the game. Right off the bat, Charles Clay, a healthy scratch. We've suspected the Bills have been trying to get him out of the offense as they did with Kelvin Benjamin, and Charles Clay most likely will not be a Buffalo Bill next year, and rightfully so. I mean, he doesn't fit the offense they're trying to put on the field, and it's one more weapon that Josh Allen is struggling with. And
right, absolutely, he's not who, to quote the immortal and late Denny Green, Charles Clay is not who the Buffalo Bills thought he was. He just isn't. Whether it's injury, whether it's poor play, he just isn't the Charles Clay that he was in Miami, that Buffalo thought they were getting to help out Tyrod Taylor. So him being gone is no different than him being here, except for the fact of the money that they'll save with him. Tight end is a very, very, very difficult position to fill. Very rarely are you going to get like the Tony Gonzalez's or the Rob Gronkowski's. Not so much 2018 Gronkowski, but Rob Gronkowski, overall body of his career. A good tight end, you can't underestimate the power of a good tight end. I mean, look at I'll bring the Jets back into it, but Chris Herndon is their tight end now. I learned his name, and he's making big plays, he's making big catches, which is opening up the floodgates for Darnold to hit Robbie Anderson a lot more. And that's why Robbie Anderson had 30 points sitting on my goddamn bench. But, but a good tight end is hard to find. So I think the Buffalo Bills definitely should be in the market, if not in the free agency, to get a mediocre to okay tight end. Look into the draft, into the second and third rounds, and see what you could pick up there and work with. Because anything is better than what Charles Clay is providing right now.
I absolutely agree. And the money itself will just work out, and it'll give the Bills a little more wiggle room to upgrade their offense and maybe even help their defense, which, hey, their defense has been stellar. But on Sunday, man, it was ugly. Capital U ugly. 273 rushing yards allowed on the ground. Now, mind you,
yikes.
How did New England win? They won with a rush because Tom Brady looked very, very average. He looked mortal. 126 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. He's continued to look this way. Now, John, the question I have for you, we're a Bills podcast. I'm obviously a Bills fan. You're a Jets fan. We spend a lot of time with Tom Brady on our mind. We know what Tom Brady can do when he's on his game. He hasn't been. Is this it for Tom Brady, do you think? Or are we all falling in the trap again where we look at the Patriots and we say they might be losing it, and then they go on and win the Super Bowl?
Okay, so here's the deal. I might consider that a thing if the Patriots were 9-6, 8-8, or fighting for the last spot in the wild card or something like that. The Patriots are a win and a Houston Texans loss away from being number 2 and getting the bye, which means that they're guaranteed at the very least one home field game in the later rounds. So no, I don't think it's the end for Tom Brady by himself. I would not be surprised to see, I'm sorry, I just got a random message here. So yeah, they are a win and a Houston Texans loss away from being the number 2 seed in the AFC. That doesn't tell me that Tom Brady himself is done as much as maybe the people that are around him are done. You got to look at Rob Gronkowski. He has not been Gronkowski. He has not been the beast that he is. He's talked about retirement. He's talked about other ventures. He was going to be traded last offseason. I believe Detroit was a trade partner. They were even, for Christ's sakes, this past week, they were even rumored talking to him about the Buffalo Bills, or some beat writer was talking about him to the Bills, because of his Western New York ties and things like that. Who does he have as receivers? Cordero Patterson, they signed him, but they split him at running back and wide receiver at times. So he doesn't really have too many people to throw it to. He doesn't have that breakaway receiver. He doesn't have that Julio Jones person, that Deshaun, the Hopkins receiver mold. He doesn't have an Adam Thielen. He's got Julian Edelman, but he had him for I think half the season. So I don't necessarily know that it's Brady as much as it's the team around him. The team around him is not playing up to the standards that have been set for the past 19 seasons in New England. So yeah, it's difficult to see it's difficult to say what's going to happen because it's not the same team. It's not the same team around him. So I would expect one of two things. I'm expecting Brady to come back next year. I absolutely think he will come back next year and complete his 20th season. I think he'll be done after next year. It wouldn't surprise me to see the Patriots go all in for Tom's final hurrah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them making trades, making deals, getting names, doing what they can to get better receivers for Brady to throw to, things like that. I don't think they're done. I just think that perhaps the NFL is catching up to the Patriots. The new genre of quarterbacks, the quarterbacks that we're seeing now, the younger ones that have all the headlines. We're talking about the Allens, we talk about the Darnolds, we talk about the Baker Mayfields, Patrick Mahomes, all those younger guys, Deshaun Watson, these guys are now the sexy quarterbacks that are changing teams and changing the quarterback play with their just the way that they are. I mean, look at Mahomes, for Christ's sakes. The NFL is catching up to the Patriots way, but they're not done yet. Ask me this question after next season, though.
You got it. The Patriots clinched their 10th straight AFC East title. We see the reports every year that, they're breaking up. The divorce is ugly. People are going to leave, whatever. Do I think Gronkowski's probably going to retire? Absolutely. Brady could be right out the door as well. We don't know. It's one of those things where we'll come back to me when the season's over and we'll see how it shakes out. But speaking of coming after me after the season and seeing how it shakes out, LaShawn McCoy his quest for 11K, which at this point, it's a quest for 10,600 yards. He can't seem to get to it. McCoy had a nice 6 rushes for 9 yards on Sunday, but he was benched to start the game after a quote-unquote misunderstanding with Sean McDermott. Now, after the game, McCoy said, quote, "Coach, we had a situation. He was totally right. For me and him, it was a private situation. As a captain, I need to be more accountable. It's as simple as that. He checked me and put me in my place. It's simple as that." Now, mind you, McDermott has to do stuff like this so he doesn't lose his team. But question for you. As we talked about Tom Brady being done in New England, is LaShawn McCoy done in Buffalo? Now, with that being said, before I let you give me your 2 cents here, John, the Bills would save over $6 million in cap space if they cut LaShawn McCoy, who has not looked good when healthy. But then again, it could be the offense, could be the offensive line, the lack of losing Richie Incognito and Eric Wood that has played into McCoy not being as good as he was. So again, I ask you, has he played his way off this team? Will LaShawn McCoy be a Buffalo Bill next season?
I think that, it could really go one of two ways. I could see both sides of the scenario, and I'll tell you what I see with each side. So say he stays with the team and he's in the plans. It's really going to be whether or not they, based on whether they upgrade that offensive line, and the Bills think that, with the money that they are spending to upgrade position players and weapons for Josh Allen, that they would be better with LaShawn McCoy behind Josh Allen. That is the only situation that I can see, their thought process with keeping LaShawn McCoy. The reality is I do not think he will be a Buffalo Bill next year. Now, whether or not it's because they cut him or he negotiates a deal with the team to maybe say, he says, "Hey, look, I really want to finish my career as a Philadelphia Eagle. I know that the Eagles had interest in me last year when we were talking about it. Can you work a deal with them?" Either way, if they do that or they cut him, granted they're going to save money, but they could have gotten a little something extra out of him had they dealt him earlier in the season, like was being rumored when the Eagles were interested. If I'm a betting man, and I'm not, but if I'm a betting man, I'm betting LaShawn McCoy is not a Buffalo Bill next year. And further, I bet he'll find his way back to Philly somehow.
That seems fair. Right now, McCoy remains 26th all time with 10,580 yards, but he's now 11 behind a tie for 25th place, Thomas Jones with 10,591. And our little add-on, as always, 3A, quest for the highest pick. If the season were to end today, obviously it doesn't, but we're almost there. If the season were to end today, which it almost does, the Bills would pick 7th or 8th, a coin flip with the Giants to determine that positioning. Now, moving on to, I had to lean over. I'm laying on my couch right now looking at my laptop doing the podcast. It's 10:41, people. My bedtime is normally now. I'm normally sleeping by now, so I'm giving it the little extra Christmas spirit here and staying up a little later for you peeps. The look ahead brought to you by 26 Shirts, the latest 26 Shirts offering Buffalo's Volume 6 Shirt 4 called Battle Ready. T-shirt benefits Algonquin Sports for Kids Incorporated, which is also known as AS for Kids, designed to create a safe environment for children in underserved communities. Since 2007, Algonquin Sports has grown to serve over 2,500 athletes annually with the support of the Western New York community. $8 from every shirt purchase goes to support this great cause. Get over to 26shirts.com, even though the Christmas season is over. The t-shirt buying season is always in session, in style, in fashion, whatever you want to say. You can get t-shirts whenever you want for a good price, help a good cause, and keep on supporting local business and local businesses out in Buffalo, New York.
Update: Philip Lindsay is out of the game, and I just lost.
What is he out of the game with?
I don't know. My co-host for the FTW podcast, Brandon, just sent me a text message saying, and I quote, let's see here. Okay, you're probably cursed. Lindsay is out for the game. You need the Broncos to stay away from that other dude. That was at 10:41 p.m. At 10:41 p.m. and 26 seconds, well, you lost. So, because they must have gone to him. So, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'm taking a look here. I'm not seeing anything live. Fell. Oh, Lindsey remains on bench with trainers around him. Haven't heard of an injury, but he hasn't played for a few series. Philip Lindsey hand is out of the game.
Yep. That blows. Oh well. I still won money. So whatever.
Well, hey. Speaking of sucking, good transition right here. Moving on to Week 17, the Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. 7-8, the Miami Dolphins. 5-10, the Buffalo Bills. We have come to the end of the road of the 2018 National Football League season, regular season. Thank God. I mean, I don't really know how else to put it, man. It's been a trying season. I know I'm not even going to make this about the Bills because I don't care if they win or lose at this point. It's literally, it doesn't matter. But it's crazy. This time last year, the Bills were in Miami fighting for their playoff lives, which obviously ended up being the fight of a lifetime, and they ended up making the playoffs, as everybody knows. But now they're going to Miami with Miami out of it, Buffalo out of it. Nobody really cares. Maybe they go out and do some wackadoo stuff, and Josh Allen throws for 400 yards. I don't know. The game could end in a 0-0 tie with a literal pissing match at the center of the field, and I wouldn't care. But the one thing I want to say is that with the podcast coming to a close, and especially with it being Christmas, so we're just going to kind of roll it into that. The holiday season, for that matter, we are inclusive with everybody and all the holidays and the celebrations and everything. We're all for it. I want to say, a big thanks to everybody out there who listens to the podcast, who tunes in every week, who corrects us on Twitter when we're wrong or on YouTube when we're wrong. They'll shoot us a message and say, "Hey guys, no, this is actually what happened," and we say, "Hey, thanks, we forgot, whatever."
I just say I'm an idiot. That seems to work for me.
I do the same thing, And John, I appreciate you I've said this before, but I appreciate you for jumping in and kind of finding your niche. I know you're a lifelong diehard Jets fan with a weak spot for the Bills, but I think we found a little bit more of a weak spot in the Buffalo Bills because
you've definitely exposed this podcast has definitely exposed the weak spot, and it's funny because
it's worked out pretty well.
It's you know what it is too. It's breaking down the walls on the side. I do Uber and Lyft driving, so I talk to a lot of people that are that are Bills fans specifically, and it's nice to be able to speak to them, to speak their language and understand what they're saying and what their concerns are and things like that. And then when I tell them I'm a Jets fan, actually, and they're like, "Whoa, wait, but I'm on a Bills podcast, and here's where you can find it." And so, if any of y'all are listening, cool, thank you. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my time on this podcast, and I say, you know what? As sucky as the next week's game may be, God damn it, Ryan, let's do it one more time.
One more time with feeling, man. That's what I'm saying. Because next week we're going to come back with the Trust the Podcast. We'll talk a little about the game. We're going to recap the season, all in one big old podcast. So that being said, John, give me a
swashbuckling fun of pod for all of you.
Hell yeah! Yeah, give me a prediction for Sunday's game.
Sunday's game, North Korea wins.
North Korea wins. Well, I'm going to say what happens first: the Bills win or the government shutdown ends. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills victory on Sunday.
I'll say the Bills win. Bills win. They beat Miami because screw you, Miami. They're gonna beat Miami 56-0.
I'm gonna go 69-0 Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, nice.
With that being said, thanks again for tuning in on Merry Christmas Eve. You probably listen to this on Christmas. Maybe you're staying up late on Christmas Eve, looking around for Santa. I did say this today. Santa probably should take the day off because the government shut down. And is Santa a government worker or is he a private contractor?
He's a private contractor.
He can be fired with cause then. Without cause. Mm-hmm. New York State is a no cause, right?
I got your back, Santa. Santa and I are homies.
You can just fire him. In New York State, you can just be fired for no reason, right?
Yes, it's at will. In New York State is at will. Yes, it is.
Santa, you're fired.
You're nasty.
You
sound like a orange Cheeto.
Orange Kool-Aid man?
Something like that, yeah.
That Jack.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, we are Trust the Podcast.
You are not.
Thank you again for tuning in. I am at Wolf BLTD. John is at the JC Money. Have a safe, happy, wonderful holiday. And for the final time this year, go Bills.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.